What's up, everyone? Today I'll be explaining Solo Leveling Season 3, Episode 1. This episode is packed with action, surprises, and some big reveals, so let's get right into it. The gate's boss emerged at last, flanked by his guards. His presence was commanding, his voice steady with authority as he searched for the one responsible for the slaughter of his people. When his eyes fell on Jinwoo, a small, lone figure, he spoke with both anger and grudging respect. This intruder had not only cut down his forces, but even dared to speak their tongue. Yet the boss's confidence faltered when he called for reinforcements. His voice echoed across the battlefield, but no one answered. The silence pressed down, heavy and unnatural. What he did not know was that Jinwoo's shadow soldiers had already carved their way through his army, leaving nothing but corpses in their wake. Jinwoo smirked at the boss's words. Small? That's funny. At his command, shadows rose from the ground. One by one, his soldiers revealed themselves, striking with ruthless precision. Hidden magic beasts were cut down before they could even react, collapsing under the weight of the ambush. The boss's expression twisted into shock. His army gone. His strength shattered. Panic clawed at him, and in desperation, he thrust out his palm. From the trees, more beasts tore themselves free, bark and branches shattering as they formed into soldiers. But before they could even move, Baru appeared in a blur of motion. With terrifying speed, he severed their heads, leaving the creatures to crumble where they stood. Jinwoo advanced, his shadow army marching behind him, an overwhelming force that radiated a suffocating aura. The boss froze, his body trembling, unable to speak. The truth hit him with crushing finality. He was completely outmatched. At Jinwoo's command, the shadow army surged forward. Leading them was Baru, the towering ant-like warrior, whose presence alone made the battlefield tremble. Sensing the danger, the magic beasts roared and charged with wild ferocity. But against Jinwoo's soldiers, their strength meant nothing. Shadows ripped through them without hesitation, tearing bodies apart piece by piece. The ground shook with the clash, cries of battle mixing with the sound of rending flesh. Two massive centaur beasts broke through the chaos, their weapons raised as they lunged straight for Jinwoo. But before they could reach him, Tank intercepted. With monstrous strength, the towering shadow beast seized them both and ripped them apart like paper, their remains crashing lifelessly to the ground. The boss of the magic beasts could only watch in horror as his army was annihilated. His voice broke into a guttural scream, calling for his children who would never answer. His despair was cut short when Baru descended upon him, moving with impossible speed. The ant's claws pierced deep into his body while, in the same instant, Igris's blade severed one of his arms clean off. The boss staggered, crashing to the ground in agony, blood pooling beneath him. Before he could even recover, Tusk raised his staff, his body swelling to colossal size as his skill, hymn of giants, took hold. With a resonant chant, he unleashed inverse gravity. The air warped, and the boss's body was slammed into the earth with devastating force. The impact tore through the battlefield, leaving the creature crushed and broken, barely clinging to life. Through the haze of dust and destruction, Jinwoo stepped forward. His shadow soldiers loomed behind him, their black forms unyielding. His eyes were cold, his presence absolute, as he stood over the defeated boss, an emperor surveying the fall of yet another enemy. Jinwoo stood over the broken form of the beast. Its chest heaved, blood spilling from its mouth as it clung stubbornly to life. Leaning closer, Jinwoo demanded answers, his voice sharp and unyielding. He offered mercy, an end to the pain, if the creature spoke. But the boss only stared back, silent. No words came, only the rattle of breath and the drip of blood on stone. Jinwoo exhaled slowly, a sigh of frustration. So, the system again, he thought. It's blocking you. No matter. The truth will reveal itself in time. With a flick of his wrist, Jinwoo opened his inventory. From the void, he drew out a single object, a key. His expression tightened as he studied it. This was the strange prize he had once pulled from the cursed random box after slaying the demon monarch, King Boran, in the demon castle. Back then, it had revealed nothing, not even its purpose. But things had changed. Reaching level 100 during the Jeju Island raid had unlocked hidden information within the system. The key's description had finally updated. The conditions have been met. This key opens the entrance to the Kartanon Temple, usable only at the designated gate. Location will be revealed once the time is right. The words echoed in his mind, and with them came a name: Kartanon Temple. The moment he heard it, a chill swept through him. Memories surged back unbidden. The double dungeon, the eerie temple at its end, the stone statues frozen in their eternal watch, and the tablet one of them had held. Jinwoo's grip tightened around the key. What had once been a mystery was now calling him back to the beginning. The pieces of the puzzle were finally falling into place. Jinwoo understood now. The system was pulling him back to where it had all begun. The double dungeon, the stone statues, the nightmare that had nearly ended his life, but instead forged his path as a hunter. This time, though, it wasn't just a summons, it was a challenge. If everything from the beginning had been orchestrated to bring him here, then Jinwoo knew he could no longer avoid it. His hand clenched around the key, resolve hardening in his chest. If this is the place the system has prepared for me, then I'll answer it. Wait for me. I'm coming soon. His eyes burned with determination. No hesitation, no fear, only resolve. Across town, Jinho sat hunched over his computer screen, his sharp gaze locked onto a flood of posts and comments. His fingers moved with hawk-like precision, snapping screenshots and filing reports at a furious pace. Sweat trickled down his forehead, but he didn't stop. He had taken it upon himself to shield Jinwoo's reputation, and nothing would get in his way. The rhythmic clatter of keys filled the room until Jinho finally leaned back, exhausted, wiping his brow. Then, "You doing all right?" The calm voice cut through the silence like a knife. Jinho nearly leapt from his chair. He spun around, wide-eyed, only to find Jinwoo standing silently behind him, dressed in full hunting gear. The hunter's presence was as commanding as ever, though his tone remained even. Jinho clutched his chest, trying to catch his breath. "But boss, you scared me half to death," Jinwoo asked quietly if anything had happened while he was gone. Jinho straightened, shaking his head. "No trouble, boss." His eyes flicked over Jinwoo's gear, curiosity getting the better of him. "But why are you dressed like that?" Jinwoo answered, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "I just came out of a gate. We need money for the guild, so I brought back a few high-level magic cores." Jinho's jaw dropped. The casual tone, as though Jinwoo had just gone shopping, only made the revelation more staggering. Clearing a high-ranked gate single-handedly meant their guild's financial future was secured. Salaries, equipment, resources, they wouldn't have to worry about any of it. But when Jinho mentioned employees, Jinwoo blinked, almost puzzled. Jinho quickly reminded him. They still needed one more member before the guild could be officially registered. And then, with the air of someone about to address a crisis, Jinho leaned forward. "Boss, there's another matter we can't ignore, the guild name." At first, Jinwoo thought he was joking. A name hardly seemed important compared to what lay ahead. But Jinho insisted, rattling off suggestion after suggestion. "What about Sungyu Guild, a mix of our last names? Or Wuho Guild, from the last characters? Maybe Jin Guild?" Jinwoo listened in silence before replying, as casual as ever. "Solo Play Guild." Jinho froze. "Are you serious?" For a moment, he wondered if his boss was trying to be funny. The thought made him smile faintly. For all of Jinwoo's unmatched strength, his sense of humor still left much to be desired. It was a reminder that even someone like him was, at the end of the day, human. Before Jinho could say more, a knock at the door cut through their conversation. He glanced toward the sound, his curiosity sparking. Who could that be? The door creaked open, and a soft voice drifted in. "Is this Hunter Sung Jinwoo's guild office?" "Yes, that's right," Jinho replied. But when the visitor stepped inside, he froze. His heart skipped. "Hunter Cha Hae-In?" Jinwoo looked up as well, equally startled. Of all people, she was the last he expected to see in his small makeshift office. Without hesitation, Hae-In spoke. "I want to join your guild." For once, Jinwoo was at a loss for words. Why would someone like her, an S-rank hunter and one of Korea's strongest, be here asking this? His mind raced with possibilities. Had the Hunter Association's president sent her? Had she left her old guild under bad terms? But Hae-In shook her head at each question. "No, this is my decision." Jinwoo studied her carefully, then asked the only question that mattered. "Why my guild?" "Solo play guild?" she repeated, her voice catching as if the name itself had thrown her off balance. Jinwoo blinked. "Yes, that's what we agreed on." Jinho flailed from the side. "Boss, we didn't agree on that." But Jinwoo only tilted his head, genuinely puzzled. "We didn't? I thought we had—" The air grew more tangled with each word. Hae-In seemed rattled, Jinwoo confused, and Jinho exasperated. For a moment, Jinwoo closed his eyes and steadied his breathing. His thoughts felt hazy, unfocused. Something was clouding his judgment. He forced himself to calm down. Whatever this was, he needed clarity before making his next move. Jinwoo studied Hae-In carefully. Her breathing, the rhythm of her pulse, the slight flicker in her eyes. On the surface, she appeared calm, but he could tell she was holding something back. Why was she so insistent on joining his guild? "It's been 2 years since your awakening," Jinwoo said evenly. "Shouldn't you still be under contract with your current guild?" To his surprise, Hae-In nodded. "I am. But I'll pay the penalty to break it. I don't expect anything in return from your guild." Jinwoo's brows furrowed. That level of determination, even at such a cost, made no sense. "Why?" he asked. "Why join a guild that has nothing to offer you?" For a moment, Hae-In faltered. Her gaze dropped, her voice caught in her throat. The truth pressed at her lips, but she couldn't say it. She couldn't admit that from the very first time they met. Something about Jinwoo had drawn her in. The quiet strength, the strange comfort she felt in his presence. Even the scent that lingered around him. She remembered Jeju Island most vividly. The moment she thought death had claimed her, the despair that had swallowed her whole. Yet when she woke inside the helicopter, alive against all odds, the first name that surfaced in her mind was his. The president had confirmed it too. Jinwoo's power, his very existence, had anchored her when she was closest to death. And now, no matter how much she tried to downplay it, she simply wanted to stay near that presence. But how could she explain something so personal, so vulnerable? Heat rose to her cheeks, and she lowered her head further. Jinwoo's eyes lingered on her. He recalled her unusual behavior at the funeral, the quiet resolve, the way she had looked at him. It struck him that she must have been planning this for some time. At last, Hae-In lifted her head. Her voice was steady, but her words felt carefully chosen, almost rehearsed. "I just want a simpler life." It was an explanation that barely scratched the surface, but it was all she was willing to give. Jinwoo leaned back in his chair, weighing the situation. Jinho's words echoed in his mind. She's still young. What, 22? Maybe 23? The pressure from the Hunters Guild must have been crushing. He understood. An S-rank hunter carried a burden that few could imagine, and after Jeju Island, the Hunters Guild had suffered heavy losses. Hae-In's decision to leave them couldn't have been easy. Jinwoo sympathized with her, but sympathy alone wasn't enough. If she truly wanted to stand in his guild, he needed proof of her resolve. "I'll need you to take a test," he said. Hae-In blinked. "A test?" "It's standard procedure for my guild," Jinwoo replied smoothly, his tone calm. "Probably something Jinho forgot to mention in the notice." Jinho opened his mouth to protest, but Jinwoo cut him off by sending him to fetch drinks and snacks. Reluctantly, Jinho shuffled off, muttering under his breath. The moment the word test left his lips, Hae-In's demeanor changed. Her posture straightened, her gaze sharpened. Seriousness radiated from her like a blade being drawn. Jinwoo raised an eyebrow. Was she really this eager, or just stubborn? Either way, the determination in her eyes was undeniable. "The test is simple," Jinwoo said evenly. "You'll face one of my summons." "My strongest one." There wasn't a flicker of hesitation, no fear, no doubt, only resolve. "Fine," she said firmly. "I'm ready." Jinwoo studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "We'll use the Hunters Association gymnasium. It'll be safer there." Without another word, both of them rose to their feet, as if this moment had been waiting for them all along. As they prepared to leave, Jinwoo paused. The Hunters Association gymnasium was quite a distance away, and he wanted to test something. Could his shadow exchange skill transport more than just himself? "You don't need to leave the usual way," he said calmly. "Stick close to me." Just for a moment, Hae-In's heart skipped as he stepped toward her, his face suddenly closer than she expected. A lump formed in her throat, but before she could react, the shadows swallowed them both. They sank soundlessly into darkness. Back in the office, the door creaked open. Jinho returned with tea and snacks, only to find an embarrassed High Orc soldier sitting where Jinwoo and Hae-In had been. The shadow glanced around guiltily before snatching the snacks and devouring them. Meanwhile, Jinwoo and Hae-In slipped through the void. Jinwoo's mind sharpened as he confirmed his theory. Shadow exchange wasn't just teleportation. It was a gate. The shadow beneath them served as the entry point, while the location of one of his soldiers became the destination. A remarkable ability, with only a 3-hour cooldown. They emerged into the brightly lit gymnasium. The overhead lights flickered on in response to their manner. Hae-In's eyes widened in awe at the transition, but her gaze quickly settled on Jinwoo, who was already preparing for the test. Then she froze. "My weapon. I left it behind." Jinwoo's lips curved slightly. "What, the pickaxe?" Color rushed to her cheeks as the memory hit her. "That was different." He chuckled, the sound low and brief. "Relax. I'm joking." Still embarrassed, Hae-In crossed the room to the equipment locker. Swiping her hunter's license through the keycard reader, she gained access and inspected the reserve weapons. They were standard practice gear, nothing exceptional. After a moment, she chose a sword close to the size of her own. "This will do," she said firmly. Jinwoo studied her, concern flickering in his eyes. "Are you sure? You won't be comfortable with a weapon that isn't yours." Hae-In tightened her grip. "In real battles, monsters don't fight on our terms. Hunters shouldn't expect them to." Her words resonated. He knew she was right. An ordinary soldier would be shredded for relying on comfort. Jinwoo nodded once, then extended a hand toward the shadows at his feet. A knight stepped forward in silence, crimson armor gleaming faintly under the gym lights. It was Igris, the finest swordsman among his shadow soldiers. "The rules are simple," Jinwoo explained. "Defeat my summon, and you pass. If you surrender, the match ends. Victory or defeat rests on your decision." He had considered calling Baru, but quickly dismissed the thought. That kind of fight would be overwhelming, traumatic even. Igris would be more than enough. Hae-In's stance lowered, her borrowed blade steady. She nodded once. "Understood." But Jinwoo hesitated. Her earlier words replayed in his mind. Weapons don't matter. Slowly, he called her attention. "Turn around for a moment." Curious, she obeyed. When she turned back, her eyes widened. Igris now held a weapon that hadn't been there before. A great sword crackling with arcs of blue electricity, humming with power. The demon monarch's sword. Jinwoo's voice was calm, but firm. "Now, the test begins." Without hesitation, Igris made the first move. The demon monarch's sword hummed with lethal energy as he swung, releasing a jagged bolt of lightning. Hae-In darted back, her body moving with feline grace. The attack slammed into the wall behind her, scorching it black. A fraction slower, and she would have been dead. Jinwoo narrowed his eyes, impressed. An ordinary hunter wouldn't have survived even a graze. Tightening her grip, Hae-In charged. Her focus didn't waver for even a heartbeat. Igris met her head-on, their blades colliding in a shower of sparks. The clash echoed through the gym like thunder. Far above, in his office, Association President Go Gun-hee shuffled through classified reports. From his window, he noticed the gymnasium below, supposedly empty, blazing with light. "Strange," he murmured. With a quick buzz, he asked his secretary to check the schedule. No booking. "Pull the camera feed," Gun-hee ordered. The monitors flickered on, revealing Sung Jinwoo and Cha Hae-In locked in battle. Gun-hee's eyes widened, then softened into a smile. So, the rumors were true. Those two. His thoughts drifted back to the funeral, when Hae-In's demeanor around Jinwoo had been unusually warm. A quiet chuckle escaped him. "Turn off the cameras," he said suddenly. "Maintenance check. Noted in the records." When the screen went black, Gun-hee leaned back with a grin. Youth, determination, and maybe even affection, it reminded him of a time long past. A faint tremor rattled his desk, but he didn't look up. The smile lingered as he returned to his papers. Back in the gym, Jinwoo frowned. Even armed with the demon monarch's sword, Igris couldn't hold her back. With a powerful strike, Hae-In drove the knight crashing into the wall. Jinwoo raised his hand, calling the match before it could continue. But Hae-In lowered her sword only slightly, her chest rising and falling with controlled breaths. "That wasn't your strongest summon," she said firmly. "I want to face the real one." Jinwoo hesitated. Her determination was admirable, but Baru wasn't just strong, he was terrifying. After a long silence, Jinwoo finally nodded. Shadows stirred, and Baru emerged. "Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next explanation video."